Look at your fingertip right now. Those tiny ridges are completely unique to you. No one else on the planet has ever had the exact same pattern. Not even your identical twin. For over 100 years, everyone assumed one simple explanation. Fingerprints help you grip things. In 2009, a scientist finally tested that assumption directly. The results were shocking. Turns out, that popular explanation might be mostly wrong. So if fingerprints aren't really for gripping, what are they actually for? The real answer involves genetics, embryology, and a sense you use every single day without realizing it. Let's get into it. Fingerprints don't appear at birth already finished. They form gradually, before you're even born. Around week 10 of pregnancy, small raised pads appear on the tips of developing fingers. As the fetus grows, those pads slowly flatten while the skin around them keeps expanding. That mismatch in growth speed causes the skin to buckle slightly, forming ridges. By around week 24, the ridge pattern is fully formed and permanent for life. It's essentially a byproduct of your skin folding under very specific growth pressure. Scientists call the raised structures involved volar pads, and their exact shape strongly influences the final pattern. A rounder, more symmetric pad tends to produce whorl-shaped patterns. A pad that regresses at an angle tends to produce loop-shaped patterns instead. So the physical shape of a tiny embryonic structure quietly determines your fingerprint type for life. Here's the part that surprises people. Identical twins share basically the same DNA. Yet their fingerprints are always different, even though their genetic code is nearly identical. That's because the exact folding pattern depends on tiny random factors inside the womb. Things like exact finger position, blood flow, and amniotic fluid pressure all shift the pattern slightly. Genetics sets the general shape tendencies. Random development noise finishes the unique details. It's part genetic blueprint, part biological improvisation, happening differently every single time. Now let's get back to that grip assumption, because the real story is genuinely surprising. In 2009, researcher Roland Enos at the University of Manchester decided to actually test it. His team measured how much fingertip skin actually touches a smooth surface, ridges and all. They found that ridges reduce the actual contact area with a smooth surface by about a third. Less contact area generally means less friction, not more, on smooth, dry surfaces. In other words, on smooth, dry surfaces, fingerprints don't clearly improve your grip at all. A theory that had been assumed true for over a century turned out to be, at best, incomplete. So if it's not simply about grip, researchers had to look for other real explanations. One strong candidate is touch sensitivity. Fingerprint ridges appear to amplify vibrations. A 2009 study published in the journal Science found ridges help detect fine surface texture more precisely. That amplified vibration gets picked up by touch receptors packed densely just under the ridges. This may be why you can distinguish incredibly fine textures just by lightly brushing your fingertip across them. There's also a wet surface theory. Ridges may help channel away moisture, similar to tire treads on a road. On genuinely wet or damp surfaces, that moisture channeling effect might restore some real grip advantage. So the honest answer is that fingerprints probably serve multiple overlapping purposes, not just one simple one. Now here's a genuinely exciting piece of very recent science. In 2022, researchers scanned the genomes of over 23,000 people to study fingerprint patterns. They discovered dozens of genetic regions linked to fingerprint type, loops, whorls, and arches. One gene in particular, called EVI1, stood out as especially important. EVI1 was already known for a completely different job, guiding how limbs develop in the womb. To confirm this, researchers lowered EVI1 activity in mice and watched what happened to their paw ridges. The ridge patterns on the mice's digits changed and became abnormal, confirming EVI1's role. This means fingerprints and limb formation are controlled by overlapping genetic instructions. Your fingerprints are quite literally shaped by some of the same genes that shaped your fingers themselves. Long before any of this genetics was understood, fingerprints found a very different use. In the late 1800s, scientist Francis Galton studied thousands of fingerprints in detail. He helped prove that patterns stayed the same over a person's entire lifetime. Soon after, a classification system was developed that let investigators organize and compare prints efficiently. This became the foundation of modern fingerprint-based identification still used by law enforcement today. It transformed forensic investigation from guesswork into something far more systematic and reliable. A classification system developed in the 1890s sorted prints into categories based on their pattern types. That system let investigators narrow down millions of records to a manageable set of possible matches quickly. Within just a few decades, fingerprint identification spread to police departments across the world. It remains one of the longest continuously used forensic identification methods in modern history. Quick honesty check here, because this part matters for accuracy. You'll often hear that fingerprint uniqueness is scientifically proven as an absolute fact. In reality, it's an extremely strong, well-supported observation, not a strict mathematical proof. No two matching fingerprints have ever been reliably documented among the many millions on record. But forensic scientists themselves have noted that treating any match as 100% infallible oversimplifies things. It's still an incredibly powerful identification tool, just one built on overwhelming evidence, not pure mathematical certainty. Here's something genuinely rare and fascinating. A small number of people are born with no fingerprints at all. It's caused by an extremely rare genetic condition affecting a gene involved in skin ridge formation. People with this condition have completely smooth fingertips for their entire lives. It's sometimes nicknamed immigration delay disease because biometric fingerprint scanners simply can't read anything. Affected individuals often face real, repeated complications at border crossings and security checkpoints. It's an extremely rare condition, documented in only a small handful of families worldwide. But it's a striking reminder of just how much we quietly rely on fingerprints functioning normally. Here's a fun detour. Humans are not the only animals with fingerprint-like ridges. Other primates have very similar ridged patterns on their fingers and toes. Surprisingly, koalas also have ridges that look remarkably similar to human fingerprints. In fact, koala prints are similar enough that they've occasionally confused fingerprint examiners in lab settings. Koalas and humans aren't closely related at all, so this likely evolved completely independently. It's a great example of two unrelated species landing on a strikingly similar biological solution. Quick pause before we continue. Take a guess. Do you think fingerprints can permanently disappear if the skin is damaged? Not usually. Ridges regenerate from deeper skin layers, so the same pattern typically grows back. Only damage deep enough to destroy those lower skin layers can permanently alter the pattern. Let's clear up a few common myths before we wrap up. Myth 1. Fingerprints exist purely to help you grip objects. As we covered, that's likely incomplete. Touch sensitivity and moisture control may matter just as much or more. Myth 2. Identical twins have identical fingerprints, since they share the same DNA. Also false. Random development in the womb makes every fingerprint unique, twins included. Myth 3. Fingerprints change noticeably as you get older. Mostly false. The pattern itself stays the same for life, though ridges can become slightly less distinct with age. Myth 4. You can permanently erase your fingerprints by burning or filing them down. Not usually true. Unless deep skin layers are destroyed, the original pattern almost always grows back. Myth 5. Fingerprints can reveal your personality traits or character, not supported by real science. This idea, sometimes called dermatoglyphics analysis, lacks credible scientific evidence. Myth 6. Everyone's fingerprints are made up of one single continuous pattern type. Actually false. Most people have a mix of pattern types across their 10 fingers, not just one repeated type. Let's wrap up with a few fun extra facts. Fingerprint patterns generally fall into three main categories: loops, whorls, and arches. Loops are the most common pattern worldwide, making up roughly 60 to 65% of fingerprints. Arches are the rarest of the three, found in only a small percentage of people. The middle three fingers on both hands tend to share strikingly similar pattern types, a phenomenon researchers call pattern block. Even your toes have unique ridge patterns, though they're almost never used for identification. A couple more quick facts. Fingerprint scanners on modern phones don't actually store an image of your print. They convert key ridge features into an encrypted mathematical code that can't be reverse engineered into a picture. This is actually a meaningful privacy protection built directly into the technology you use every day. And despite popular crime shows, lifting a usable fingerprint from a crime scene is often genuinely difficult. Oils, surface texture, and time all affect whether a clear, usable print can actually be recovered. Okay, let's bring this all together. Fingerprints form before birth, as skin buckles under specific, uneven growth pressure. Genetics sets general tendencies, but random development in the womb makes every single pattern unique. The old assumption that fingerprints exist purely for grip turned out to be largely incorrect on smooth surfaces. Touch sensitivity and moisture control appear to be genuinely important, and possibly more central functions. Recent genetic research even linked fingerprint patterns directly to the genes that shape your limbs. And fingerprints stay permanent for life, regenerating from deeper skin layers even after damage. All from one tiny pattern on your fingertip that you've probably never really stopped to think about. If this answered a question you never knew you had, that's exactly what this channel is about. So if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and it takes about 2 seconds. Drop a comment and tell me which part surprised you the most. Was it the grip myth? The koala fingerprints? Let me know. And if you like this video, go ahead and tap that like button. It's a small click that genuinely helps this channel keep growing. There are hundreds of everyday questions just like this one waiting to be explored. Things you've looked at your entire life, but never actually questioned. That's what this channel is all about. Toggling your curiosity on, one question at a time. One more thing before you go. Tap that notification bell too, so you actually see it when the next video drops. Next time, we're tackling why flamingos stand on one leg for hours without falling over. It's a surprisingly clever energy-saving trick, and you will not guess the mechanism. I'll see you in the next one.